on. And here at the second of the checks then, Onse Chilip, Ariostea lying in third spot, Helvetia behind them, and then Lotto. They're the teams out on the road already. That's a 41.5 kilometre point, and Onse the best at 50.2. Yes, I was saying that the race normally, the team time trial, is conducted at the second part very often of the second day's racing. So we're seeing something new on this occasion. It's been done for a couple of reasons, really. First of all, the 62 kilometres is really going to sort the riders out after we've been already having 3 stages, so we can see quite a change in the positions because they count the riders' positions from the team time trial and add the differences between the teams to the riders' general classification position. And so it's very vital, in fact, that the riders are keeping together, and 63.5 will stretch the legs a bit further than the shorter one that we normally have. And Castorama team out on the road at the moment on this undulating course. The first time check is after some 15 kilometres, 15 miles or so, and then off we go from there. So the flattish course they've got today, undulating slightly in 1 or 2 places. It doesn't really climb too much, really, because the topmost point of the climb of the course will be 65 metres above sea level. They started 15 metres above sea level, so they'll only be climbing 50 metres in all. That's about 160 feet. So by British time trial standards, this is a flat course, but by no means is it a straight out one by any means. They're moving out from Libourne, heading off towards Bordeaux, and the first run to begin with taking them up into a northwesterly direction. They then turn right and head back across a northeasterly direction until they get to the top part of the course, and then turn and come back down again. So it's like a big squashed circle, really, after they've gone up the flat side alongside the Dordogne. Panasonic, next team to go. In fact, looking at our little start list of teams, there's just 2 more left to go. They're starting at 4-minute intervals, and after Panasonic we'll get the Carrera team, and then finally RMO. And there they are underway. The Panasonic team this morning, as regards the team general classification, we'll concentrate upon that at the moment. The team general classification, Panasonic Sport Life in 3rd spot overall. The combined time of the team, 52 hours, 13 minutes and 42 seconds for the distance so far. RMO are the best team, as you'd expect, with the success they've had so far. RMO Mavic on a 52.8.13. So a slender 5 seconds or so separating RMO from Panasonic. The times taken each day are on the best 3 riders to finish on the general classification. Last year, as you'd expect, the best team went to Buckler, 17 hours, 16 minutes and 12 seconds. They were some 13 minutes ahead of the Lotto team that had a rather rough ride so far at Buckler, so it did hoist them up there. Still, though, in the bottom half of the team classification. They're run down on the riders in the Panasonic squad, led by Maurizio Fondries, the ex-world champion, and well, in fact, he's still the current reigning World Cup holder, but he's not featuring at the moment. It's his teammate Olive Ludwig in the blue crash hat, who is the best placed rider of the Panasonic squad in the World Cup. He is in fact leading overall. What a gay, colourful sight, isn't it? Those wheels whizzing around the back. Riders here choosing to have looks like a complete disc at the back and the multi-spoke in the front. Yakimov now at the front of this one, having a disappointing tour at the moment, but still I think he's going to play his part in this squad, which is a derivation of the old rally team, the TI Rally team, from many years ago. And TI Rally in fact dominated team time trialing. It wasn't put into the tour until the 70s, and then in 1976, as the Tulip team come round here, let's see what their time. They'd actually, as I said earlier on, move up a slot into 2nd spot on the second of the time checks. There, Alan Piper on the right-hand side, got some strength left after yesterday's performance. He certainly rode his heart out, and let's get some of these times up coming here now, as Tulip coming in to finish. On the right-hand side there, we'll get the time as they hit the line. In the green, on the line, Tulip computers, and our computer says, in fact it's the time for Mr. Tissot, 1 hour 14:34. 1:14:34 for the Tulip team. 51.095 kilometres per hour. So we're going to take a short break. Don't go away. A lot of teams yet to come. And welcome back then as the teams at 4-minute intervals setting off on this course. Here we have the Carrera Jeans team, some well-known names in there to the followers of cycle racing. Claudio Chiappucci second and third in this great Tour de France. Abdul Jafarov still searching for a stage victory so far. And of course in that team the redoubtable Stephen Roche, who certainly has been hitting some pretty good form in the Tour so far. And I think we could still class him as a dark horse for the top 10 placing. Here the Once team in the pink coming in towards the finish. They're back in the centre. I see the very tall fellow with the glasses. You've missed some of our earlier transmission. That is Alex Züller, who took the yellow jersey on that first stage of the race, following an extremely fast time trial as far as he was concerned. Once somewhat weaker now, but nevertheless they were the fastest team at the first time check of 22 minutes. Can they pull enough out to topple Tulip at 1:14:34? It looks possible. They've probably ridden the second half fastest. Tulip were in third place at the first time check that we got. Let's see what they're doing now. Coming in toward the finish, and whoops, it's going to be pretty tight. And as they hit the line now, that's certainly going to, come on chaps. Oops, this is close, but 14:01, so they just go into the lead now. 1:14:01 for the Once team, pushing Tulip down. So they must really have gone a lot quicker over that second part of the course. Once, in fact, no, Once leading at the first and second time checks. Correct yourself here. The bits of paper flying all over the place. Tulip moved up towards being second at the second of the time checks, and so the position now that Ariel Steer, Helvetia and Lotto are vying for top honours behind Once with the 45.5 kilometre point covered. They're trailing, in fact, Tulip were 24 seconds down. It was very close between Once and Tulip at the 41.5 time check. Ariel Steer 1:55 back in third spot, and we're looking at Castorama here, and Helvetia at 2:27 and Lotto 3:35. The Ariel Steer time 1:55 will be slightly disappointing, but they are without Sorensen. We'll talk about that when we get a chance to look at Ariel Steer. And here on the line now is the RMO team. Concentration by this team, which has absolutely swept everything before it. They are leading on the team at the moment. On the general classification, Pascal Lino is the yellow jersey number one. At 1 minute 54 seconds on general classification this morning is Varank of Indurain. The Banesto rider is back 6:28 behind Pascal Lino.
Et bien sûr, Richard Virenque, porteur du maillot jaune, c'était le terme de l'étape de groupe. Et puis actuellement, le maillot vert, leader du classement par points, maillot vert PLU sur les épaules. Voilà donc cette équipe RMO, Mavic, Honnête au départ, avec Motet, Caritou, Laurent, Pascal Lino, maillot jaune.
Well, Daniel Menegas, the speaker for the Société de Tour de France, entertain this crowd with up-to-date information about the riders and the performance of this team. RMO setting off on their 62.5 kilometres, sorry, 63.5 kilometre time trial. Quite a useful bunch of time trialists here, but they've lost one rider in a crash on day one when Marcel Wust broke his collarbone. So they are down to 8 men now, rather than 9 that some of the other teams have got to help them on their way in this team time trial. And there they go. There's a cracking little cartoon this morning in Lake Keith, by the way. There we are. Let's run down the list of these riders. There we are. Monte Cartu, Lino, well, Lino and Retzi been featuring in breaks, as has Varank. First they put his name up, by the way, there, but he isn't actually riding following that crash which broke his collarbone. Talk about this cartoon this morning in the in Lake Keep. RMO, as I said yesterday, and I hate to bore you again and repeat this, but in fact they are the company where you can go if you want to hire temporary secretarial assistants, clerks, road sweepers, workers, lorry drivers, you name it. They employ people temporarily to ride for them, to work for them. And in fact, the cartoon this morning showed the boss of the business standing behind a counter which says RMO Travail Temporaire, and there's one rider just going away from the table without a yellow jersey, and there are two more lining up, and he's handing it across the next in line. He said au suivant, so you know, passing down the work to the next rider. So that's the RMO, and they've certainly been handing out work to each other, and the yellow jersey has gone down from one to another. No, they haven't got white patches on their backsides, by the way. If you watch the prologue time trial, you will have seen the aerodynamic saddles on these bicycles, and they're also enabled the rider to just push that little bit back, and he doesn't slide over the back. And when they first brought this out in the Tour, I think it was 1986 when I was out on the Tour that year, and Cyril Guimard was always looking for modern ideas for beating wind resistance. He used that saddle, and the officials actually banned it as such. They had an aerodynamic bike with ovalized tubing, sloping top tube, small front wheel, and this unique form of saddle, and at that stage it was banned, and the riders were told that they couldn't use it, and a lot of consternation went on. I see here the aerodynamic hat as well, by the way. That is also part of the way it aids the air to go over the top of the jersey and down the back, and in fact they aren't jerseys as such, they're these lycra skin suits now, and look at those handlebars as well. That's another aerodynamic efficiency aid. The brake levers have got the brake levers have got the gear levers inside them as well, so you can keep your hands fairly close. And the unusual carbon fibre and aluminium type handlebars they've got here, they can actually rest on them, but the riders at the back prefer to stay near the brake levers. So as they're freewheeling now, look at this, the rider can come off that Luc Leblanc coming off the front now, close look at his handlebars, sweeps up so that he can actually lie his arms all the way along that plastic top, and just then hold on to the centre part to get the best aerodynamic position he can when riding at the front of the field. But now at the back he can sit there very close to the brakes. There we are. And that single wire coming out from there carrying the gears, that isn't a brake cable, you can see that's the gear cables, because the actual brake cables run inside the handlebars and pop out near the handlebar stem. Ariostea, who started this morning, what was they, fourth team to set off this morning. And we've seen Once come in, Chulik Computers, and the fastest time so far. Well, Lotto did 1:18.38, so they're in third spot at the moment. Whoops, stream of brakes. Well, Ariostea with a team that crashed last year. If you're watching the Tour de France on Eurosport last year, they upended themselves in the team time trial, but still managed to get Sorensen into the yellow jersey. An almighty crash just coming in. They were inside the last kilometre, and then they got back on the bikes and managed to finish and still preserved, or got the yellow jersey for Sorensen, which he kept until he crashed later on in the race, and that sidelined him. Well, Sorensen's out of the race this year. He's already gone out with gastroenteritis and a very high temperature indeed. Well, Ariostea not going to beat the best time so far we've had from Once, 1:14.01. For some reason, the time there being shown of Lotto down the right-hand side of the screen. The caption generator working 1:16.53 for the Ariostea team, but the fastest time so far 1:14.01 as the brakes squeal on, and we're going to take a short break. Well, back out on the course, the camera flicking backwards and forwards. Quite a job they've got today, and we're now with the Gatorade Chateau Dax team, the manufacturer of these very special sporting drinks, coming in to take over the major sponsorship of a team which last year was known as Chateau Dax, and they ran for a couple of years like that with Gianna Bugno, the number one, and we're watching here at the front of this group wearing the number 11 on his back. All the top riders in each of the team wear the one number, so here we have Bugno riding with Curato, De Wolf, Fidanza, Fignon, Rondon, Ruiz Cabestany, Sciria and Tebaldi. Now the Italians, always well known as extremely useful time trialists as amateurs, But of course, when you're pros, they don't get much time to practice again. Now look at the different handlebars they've got here. Some of them are riding the handlebars, which are developed for the amateur team, the Italian amateur team, and some of them are preferring to have a slightly different variety of the ordinary handlebars. Fignon is riding here with the standard triathlon type bars clamped onto them. Fignon wearing a crash hat now when he lost the Tour de France by those slender 8 seconds a couple of years ago. It was well documented by the universities out in California that in fact you can save something in the order of at least 1 second per kilometre with the crash hat on instead of just leaving your hair open. And so Fignon lost by 8 seconds. What a difference it might have made had he worn a crash hat. But somehow I don't think his mind was on the job that day. He rode extremely hard, but Greg LeMond rode even harder. Helvetia coming in now. Gilles de Lyon promised so much, but has not yet lived up to his reputation in the Tour de France. Best place finisher a couple of years ago for the French. At the moment, the best place rider for the French is Leblanc. Sorry, that's in the FIC classification. The best place rider, of course, from the French at the moment. They're dominating with Lino and Varennes lying first and second. Helvetia might be without a sponsor this coming year, but I hope that Paul Copley can get some support from somewhere, because he's one of the rather unusual team managers. He brings on young riders. He's very scientific in his training and the food the riders eat, and he brings together a group of riders who very much are a team of riders. Some of them are disparate. They go out with a checkbook to get the best talent, but here 1:16.59. They're not going to feature today up there on the victory roster with a time like that, but still, Helvetia, we may see more of them. Pascal Richard has not been doing the best that we've seen so far in the Tour de France. Stage winner previously in the Tour, an extremely good climber. Perhaps we'll see him come back into action later on. A few quick words from Bugno there. Fignon on the front. You see the sloping down tube. The idea of that is that it gives much more support up on the seat pillar, so you don't have quite so much seat pillar sticking out. There are one or two riders who I've seen with frames going straight the way through to the seat tube, and then a long saddle pillar sticking out. But here the Bianchi people just preferring to slightly turn it up a bit, and also the seat tube is bent so that the back wheel can get right up close to the bottom bracket and keep the wheelbase extremely short. The more you can shorten the wheelbase, the closer riders can get, the less the distance from the front man to the back, and the more shelter you get. So it's all very scientific, but there is a rule, by the way. You might say, why don't they ride a little teeny weeny front wheel and turn the front forks around so that they can get even closer? There is actually a rule which states the distance between the front spindle and the bottom bracket, so you can't in fact reduce the front end much less, well, not beyond the distance that is prescribed by the UCI. But obviously the other thing you do is pull the back end a bit if you can possibly do so. Time for drink for Fignon on his Bianchi bike, the Frenchman having moved over to his Italian team to aid Bugno in his attempt to win the Tour this year. Bugno lying at the moment in 4th spot overall on general classification, 6 minutes 30 seconds in arrears from the RMO ride. There was, look, these different handlebars. Those are infinitely adjustable, by the way, those particular type. They're almost like a U shape, but straight on the U's and straight across. So you can actually turn them inwards, you can pull them back, you can set them absolutely perfectly to get your best riding position. So Raoul Cole Postobon coming in now to finish. Let's see where they set up this morning. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. They were 17th. They were 17th overall in the team classification. But of course, this team better known for its ability to climb mountains, and we'll probably see these riders going up. And then look, see how uncoordinated they were around that bend. They don't have the best of reputations when it comes to time trialing. Something they're not used to. All these riders are in fact. Two of the Lithuanian riders in here, Capella and Kasputis, both of them begin to make their marks on the sport at the moment. Good to see Lithuanians coming onto the professional ranks, and the rest of them are Colombians. Colombians good in the mountain. Lithuanians, I think we'll see them trying to do a bit more on the flat. So the time here, the one to beat is 1:14.01 from Once. Although the time we're still getting here, 16:53 of Ariostea, 16:03 for the Alcoa team. Nice, smart, shiny crash out there, all polished A bright, welcome drink for the riders when they're finishing. Thirsty workout. There's a bit humid and a bit on the warm side. RMO choosing to ride with the 4-spoke wheels, front and rear. RMO Mavic on it, with a right old collection of jerseys at the moment, because they've got the best placed jersey on the yellow for the rider leading at Lino. They're also on the classification for the points. They've got the green jersey, so there's Frank in there wearing the green jersey. And also the best young rider in the race is from RMO, and that's young Varenk. And on the climbing classification for the polka dot jersey, Varenk has got that one as well. So Varenk has 3 jerseys, but the one that really matters, the yellow, is on the shoulders of his teammate Pascal Lino, who went in that breakaway yesterday, which built up an enormous lead of something like 22 minutes and then got hauled back in towards the finish. Here we are then, back with Gatorade. Nicely dropping in. And in the background you can probably hear the shouts going on of the team director. He's got a loudspeaker fitted to his car, and he calls out the instructions to the riders to alert them to when to change, to what sort of speed they're doing, what the competition is doing. Whoops! Well, fortunately the trains are not running today. In fact, there's an old steam engine here. This is a very nice place where visitors can go and look back in history. So often these old steam engines are now being brought out, and people are going to spend their holidays looking at the old chopper trains from years gone by. There we are. Good look at the old Bianchi bikes. See the chrome plate they're still using on the chain stays, seat stays, front forks. Very much a style of Bianchi. But if you're looking for the old turquoisey blue or eggshelly blue colour that was used by Fausto Coppi in the rest of the past, I have to tell you that the bikes now have got a slight sheen to them, using a pearlized colour, but they're still nevertheless in that unique Bianchi blue colour. Helen Idem on the front of the Buckler team, who are really going to be searching, I think, to try and put a respectable time, but they're 1:14.42. They're not going to win this one either. So Buckler, who won the team yesterday when they had a fine breakaway in there, and unfortunately they didn't win the stage, but still the Coran out in front, Sagers out there as well, and together with De Vries they packed 3 men into the top 10 and got themselves the team award yesterday. Van der Arden on the front, charging along now, a previous winner of the green points jersey in the Tour de France. And I think this team are going to be looking perhaps for stage victories when the Tour moves on from here, because this afternoon, after the race is over, they'll be flying up to Roissy, the riders, and the caravan will set off and drive north of Paris to the start tomorrow, and they'll be based just near Compiègne, and they're starting at Nogent-sur-Loire, and the time 1:15.29 as far as Buckler is concerned. Still doesn't put them in the lead. We're going to take a short break. Welcome back then to this team time trial stage of the Tour de France, and the team you're now looking at is that of TVM, who must have been in a rather happy mood last night following that success by Rob Harmeling to win the stage into Bordeaux and putting his name on the list of greats. There, number 91, Gertjan Tunisa, is just going through the string at the moment. Tunisa still, I'm sure, waiting for, if they say, come on through, boy. I think he's waiting really for the climb up the Alpe d'Huez, where he's been practicing before he came on down to the start at San Sebastian. That climb, which is now becomes almost like a little Amsterdam, a little Holland. They all troop off down there. The Dutch, they made it their home during the holiday period, and they camp out there to watch the Tour come in and hope for a Dutch victory. Telecom here with the nice shiny crash helmets on them. Their best placed rider at the moment is Jens Hepner. He's 22nd overall, 7 minutes 17 seconds back, but they've got a very strong team indeed, and they're getting better as the Tour goes on. So Uwe Amplin there, previous champion, and we've got quite a useful bunch, mainly from Germany: Udo Boltz, Bernd Groen, Jens Hepner, Andreas Kappers, Marc Madio, and Yvon Madio from France. Remmig Stumpf, big Remmig, sprinter extraordinaire, now recovered from his crash and his injuries, and the other foreigner in the team, Etienne de Wilde, another sprinter. So I think the Telecom are waiting, perhaps when we get into Germany, to look for a stage victory. And so they ride themselves in, because we're going across Strasbourg, Mulhouse away from Germany, but before that we will actually have got into there on a stage in Luxembourg, Strasbourg, Valkenburg, Koblenz. We're skirting around the edge of Germany. We have that Koblenz finish as well. We're doing a bit in Luxembourg, and I think when they get close to home territory, in particular the stage into Koblenz, then watch out for these pink and white shirts. All right, for you, smiling sunshine, you've got an air trip coming ahead of you, and a long drive for just about everybody else. And let's hope that the blockage doesn't exist, and we can get everybody north of Paris ready for the start tomorrow of the next stage of the race. Tour de France so far managed to escape the troubles with the lorry drivers by keeping to the side roads, but the only way, or the best way up by car, is to take the autoroute up to Paris, and I think we're going to have some problems unless the police can sort that one out. But I suspect there'll be some sort of recognition from the lorry drivers that the race must go on, although at some point I should think they're going to try and make a token gesture. TVM then with Robert Miller in here. There's Robert, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5th back from the front. They're wearing number 96, and the other British rider for the Motorola team rides 69, so I think they've almost swapped numbers and nobody would notice. Robert in quite useful form. He's 34th overall, 7 minutes 26 seconds down on the overall leader, but Indurain at the moment 6:28, so Robert in fact is only just 1 minute down on the great Indurain as regards time. So we rather think that perhaps Pasqualino and young Varenk will get a bit of a pasting when we get down into the mountain, and people like this fellow watching here, Jan Tunis, start to belt it up the mountains, and therefore there might be, as far as Miller's concerned, a chance to really leapfrog up into the top 10. Nice to see him back up there at some point. He finished 4th way back in 1984 when he got the King of the Mountains, did Robert, and that was the first year, by the way, that the actual times of the teams counted towards the general classification. Before 84, they had a very complicated way of working out an average of averages as far as the riders were concerned for general classification. And the Renault Elf team won in 1984 when Fignon won overall. He was riding for Renault Elf that year. And whoops, scream on the old brakes as the GB MG boys team come in. GB, a big chain of supermarkets in mainly Belgium. They got some outside Belgium as well. They own a lot of other retail businesses. And MG boys, it's a clothing manufacturer down in Italy, so it's a Italian and Belgian combination here for the team. And look at him in the sunglasses, Mr. Cipollini, who says he's got his own special fan club comprised of nothing but females. That's what he said he's going to have, so he's a bit of a lad, he is. And 15 sprint successes so far this year, crossing the line in first place, a few more than Abdul Japarov has got, and the GB team finishing in 1:14.14, and they, by the looks of that, have gone into lead. They've been put down as second, so no, just behind Onse, 1:14.14 in second place. Out on the road with the TVM team. Don't quite know why when they put the graphics up last time they didn't put Onse up as the fastest team, which they are at 1:14.01 according to my little notes here. Sorry, 1:14.01, yeah, because that looks therefore as if in fact the GB team have gone into second spot behind Onse. I think the caption generator man or lady is just missing the beat somewhere at the moment. So TVM with their team manager Kees Priem, who I mentioned yesterday, won a stage in the Tour de France into Bordeaux. There's Robert Miller, King of the Mountains, I said in 1984 when he finished 4th overall. Loves the Pyrenees. We've only had one quick little zip through there, so he'll have to come on form. Perhaps it might suit Robert this year to just preserve his strength till we get to the Alps. He has been riding very well indeed this year. You may remember how well he went in the Tour of Switzerland. Here we are back with the RMO Mavic On A team on their Chateau bicycles with the yellow jersey there of the overall race leader, Pasqualino. They really had a phenomenal tour last year, RMO. They were picking up loads of victories in the various stages. They had no less than 4 stage victories last year. Motte got a couple, Ribeiro and Clavriola got victories last year. And the team, which was founded way back in 1986, has something around about 104, maybe, well, much more than that now, about 120 victories to its success. So a very, very successful team indeed, RMO. Mainly, though, comprised of good climbers. They've not been known as a team that's had good sprinters, and they've relied upon getting their victories when the roads go up. But so far, they've been very, very successful in launching a man into the breakaway. After the Carrera Jeans 22.26 for Carrera is the fastest time at that point now. Onse, who had been leading at that particular point. Panasonic, that's remarkable. Panasonic down in 3rd spot. Now that's a turn up for the books then, that Panasonic have not been able to go that bit quicker. It's a slender position at the moment, and with a long course like this, they can take time to settle down, and it could in fact change as we get in towards the finish. Here we are, looking at the yellow jersey of Pasqualino, and the rest of the RMO team, well drilled, all very much about the same height and size. Lino is possibly the tallest and slimmest of the lot, and little Charlie Motte probably the smallest of the lot, but they're pretty well matched, they are, the RMO team. Going back to that graphic we had at the 19-kilometre point, Motorola flashed up there, and they were just 16 seconds down on the Carrera team, so that's quite a useful ride. And of course, they'll be aided by Sean Yates, who at one time had the record average speed for a time trial in the Tour de France when he won a stage about 3 years ago. So Motorola still possibly in with a shout. They went much more than, what, about 9 seconds down on the Onse team. As we're now looking at Banesto. In actual terms of quality of riders, Banesto, let's run down the graph and you can see all the names of the riders in this. Oh, they're taking it away. Normally shove that up and then we promptly see exactly who the riders are in the team. They're wearing, of course, numbers 1 to 9. We're looking at the back at Jose Uriarte Zubero. As you expect, he comes from Spain. And the Banesto team, led by Miguel Indurain, and here the previous leader of the team. In fact, they're joint leaders with it, because Pedro Delgado and Indurain, joint leaders of the team. They're wearing number 5 then, that's Pedro Delgado. Both of them earning about 700,000 a year. And still picking up the rear then, Uriarte Zubero. They're fairly biggish riders, actually. The RMO team are somewhat smaller than these. They're quite, you know, for Spanish men, they're quite big. As in fact, for Spanish, a Frenchman comes on the front. Jean-Francois Bernard, winner of the Paris-Nice amongst his collection of successes this year. He really came into form at the front half of this year, and then he had his old sickness problems and has drifted out a little bit, but I think he's still got the strength and ability. He did a tremendous job last year, Jean-Francois Bernard, to help Indurain in his challenge to try and take, as he did, the yellow jersey last year. So Jean-Francois Bernard, a bit up and down as regards his form, but I think at the moment he looks like he could be back on his way into reasonable form to help Indurain get the second successive victory as far as Spain's concerned. Other victors in the Tour of Spain, Delgado, and way back in the years gone by, Louis O'Connor. They used to really concentrate upon getting the King of the Mountains at one time, because the great eagle of Toledo, Federico Bahamontes, was the man when it came to the big climbs. Sean Kelly on the front here for the Lotus-Festina team. They haven't put Wegmüller into the team selection this year, which rather surprised me. He started the season quite well, got a second place in the Tour of Flanders, Thomas Wegmüller, but he's not been selected for the team this year, and Sean Kelly driving this one along, and Sean, I think, possibly got half an eye on that green jersey as well. Sean Kelly bringing Enrique Alonso, Casio da Silva in this team. The clock there showing 1:16. They're just about going to get inside 1:17, I would have thought, or are they? So the best time still 1:14.01 from Onsay. That's a very good ride as far as Zula's team's concerned. And here we go. No, just outside 1:17. So as Kelly's team comes across the line, another of the Spanish-sponsored team, 1:17.08. So it's 1:17.08 for Sean Kelly's Lotus-Festina team. Back with the Banesto team, and a close look at there. See the handlebar bar ends, they've got the gear mechanisms in there. That's an old idea. I remember racing on them myself when Campagnola brought them out. They seem to disappear. Now they've come back in again with these index gears, and they're ideal up there on the ends of these triathlon style bars. So they've brought back something which we had many years ago. I mean, even Benelux, Cyclo Benelux gears, they had bar ends as well, which you bolted in for gear levers. And actually on the lower part, they were quite useful. They worked best of all on the front chainring. If you were just trying to drop off the big ring onto the inside or back up again, you could just knock it with your hand, and it was a very quick way of changing gear. Here though, this particular rider, number 8 we're looking at now, Fabrice Philippot, preferring to stay with the mechanism down on the down tube. Well, so the riders haven't wanted to switch over to the index mechanisms in the brakes or on the handlebars. They know it's a sort of second nature to drop the hand down onto the down tube to change gear, and so they choose not to have the modern styling and to stay where they know the gear levers are. It's a bit like when you drive a motor car, that suddenly when you're changing gear without realising, your hand drops onto the gear and you change and you sort of think, gosh, I'm driving now automatically. The same thing with a bike rider. His hands go straight to where his brakes are, his hands go straight to where his gears are, and they can do that just absolutely by memory. And so many of them, they don't like to change because it's not always something that you can actually go out and practice. These riders are going to be racing something like 200 days out of 365. And well, you say, well, that's okay. They've still got 165 days to go training and practicing. But in fact, they're traveling a hell of a lot. When they're not racing, they've got to get from one end of Europe to the other, and in fact also from Europe over to America and back again, for instance, because the World Cup Series will take them over to Canada. And a couple of years ago, we had the World Championships in Japan. So there's quite a lot of traveling involved. And you can't sort of get your bike out and go and train on this type of equipment. And you also have to get the mechanic who knows exactly your measurements to set it up. There's not a lot of time to ride up and down the road and get it adjusted. They can do it a bit when they're warming up, but really the mechanics have to know where to set it for each of the riders. So Jean-Francois Bernard easing off the front. And the big strong man himself, Indurain. And in the background, the instructions again ringing out with the loudspeakers. A lovely roar going on too. Can you hear it? Well, there we are. They're getting the times and instructions coming out from the team manager. The roar of the disc wheel as well. Tremendous noise comes up from there. Of course, a very highly inflated tyres they've got, and behind the team car will have the spares just ready to drop onto the road. Now look at that, that's interesting. He's got the extension then of concentrating on the way his handlebar had got an extra extension up from the fork column to stop it rocking backwards and forwards. Meyer then Mukialde, who has become, I think, a bit of a hero in Victoria from his success in winning that stage in San Sebastian to Po. A member of this team are very strong mountain climbers. And here they come in then to their finish. Amaya, who are, let's see, looking at the list here, about halfway, 12th overall as regards the team classification. Mukialde sat in the midst of this a lot, looks like about second back from the front, sprinting like crazy, but they're still 1 hour 17, no threat at the moment. That superb ride by the Onse team. Onse have a reputation of being extremely good time trialists. They have in the Tour of Spain, when they get a time trial, it's usually a strange one having Tour of Spain. They split the riders up and have 3 lots of 3 and things like that. There we are then, 1:17:50 for the Amaya team, and that hasn't threatened the top spot. We're looking at the Banesto squad yet again, and one time has come up whilst you've been away from us, and that was the time of the class team, 1 hour 15 minutes, .29. That in fact equalled the Buckler team, but that was still 1 minute and 28 seconds slower than the Onse team, who are leading at the moment. And we've had, let's have a look, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 teams in so far. Still Onse the time to beat, but of course as we get towards the big hitters at the back of the field, they like to go faster. Well, we're going past the vineyards here as the riders are going through some country, perhaps well known to British holidaymakers in this neck of the woods, and live on with 100,000 people, many of them engaged in the wine growing business or wine producing business, and of course some very famous well-known wines from this neck of the wood, the Saint-Emilion, the de Pomerol and the de Fronsac, all come from around here, and much of it exported through the town of Bordeaux. Delightful part of the world too, just out down through the Dordogne. We're on the edge of it here. The riders won't actually be going much through it this time. It's a magnificent scenery up there, and I know a lot of British people go there, and in the old days we had a lot of influence too, because the English crown controlling Plantagenet times. Motorola coming in then, and this team that was formed out of the 7-11 team, looking like quite a useful time indeed. 7-11, I remember watching them when they had all sorts of problems in 1986, when Ike Steiner had got the yellow jersey, the first Canadian to do so, and in fact they had no less than 4 punctures, the 7-11 team, in 86, and lost the yellow jersey. But now with Barr and Piper and also Sean Yates in this team as well. In fact, I can't see Yates at the moment. In fact, no, he's probably put on his skin, so Yates will be in there not riding in his national championship jersey, because they wear their skin suits for this. Motorola 1:13.50 could be the fastest time so far. They've been trying hard away as Barr comes off the front then, and still Lauritsen taking over the front, and then these riders with 1:14.01. It's going to be close. It is ever so close, just 0.03 against 0.02 from Onse. So there, that is close. They're in second spot at the moment. That is close. Well, they will be, I think, when they finally hear the time of the Onse team, they'll be a little bit disappointed, I think, about that one, just failing to take top slot for a short period. But Motorola out at the check at the second point. They were, let's see, 16 seconds behind Carrera. They were 9 seconds down, so they must have pulled something out in the second half of the course, but that's put them into second spot overall. And as they say in motor racing terms, we're now out back on the course with the camera. In fact, I suppose one day we'll get these little tiny cameras that Roger Leger giving them some stick here. So we're back out riding with, as they say in motor racing terms, riding with Zeds, who've had a lot of work to do to keep Le Mans in contention. Le Mans riding number 51, the most favoured number in the Tour de France. It's been worn by people like Merckx and Hino and Thévenet. Delgado wore it when he finished second as well one year, so it's a very famous number indeed. And we're seeing part of the course we haven't picked up early on. It just shows you how tricky it can be. And the little gaps opening up, and they're cranking the bikes way over. The problem is that not all of the team, not all the riders will have been actually able to come round and see this course. Quite a number of teams did come down, but of course with the troubles with the lorry drivers blocking the roads, a lot of the riders who planned to come down, because that lorry driver strike has been going on now, I think it's 10 or 12 days or so, and it made it difficult for some people to get down and look at the time trial course, which is what they wanted to do, just ride round it and see where the difficulties are. Well, let's see what the time checks are. As I said, we haven't got any at the moment. Well, the interview is going on at the moment. I'm getting on my headphones, in fact. He's saying there's something they're like about 23 or 24 seconds down. I'm just waiting to try and get confirmation of that one. Yeah, he's just saying, Roger Leger, by the way, I've heard on my headphones as they're interviewing him, that in fact Greg hasn't been too well, but he's much better now. And there he is, right on key. In fact, the 23 seconds down they're talking about is on general classification, because Buckler yesterday, let's have a look now, where is that at the moment? 52.14. No, it must be the timeout on the road. Well, we haven't seen that time check come up or heard it either at the moment, so we'll have to wait for confirmation that if they are 23 down, that's a bit remarkable. Still, they can recover well, Zed, as the PDM team on their way in. Now, this ought to be a good one, 1:13.58. They're not going to get it, though. Very, very strong time trial team with the power of braking in there, but Martin Early helping them on the way through as well, but they're going to be shaded. There we can see the Motorola 1:14.03 in the second spot. They're certainly not going to topple Motorola from the second spot. 2, 4, 6, 8. Yes, they're finishing all the riders together. And Eric Broking, who has been a yellow jersey holder in the Tour de France in that team, but 1:14.29 the time, putting him in fourth place at the moment. So we're back out with the Z squad. The Z riders very good in the hills, and certainly they've been looking after Greg LeMond, who has got all the experience. 31 years of age. He had his 31st birthday during the Tour of Switzerland, which he was using as part of his training for this race, and he is coming into form. You can never discount Greg. He's a right gutsy competitor. Won the DuPont Tour this year. In fact, he's probably come into the race with a lot more hard racing miles in his legs than he's done in recent years, and whilst he's a little bit on the tired side, nevertheless, I'm sure we'll see him go well. Eric Boyer dropping back off there, stage winner in the Tour of Switzerland. A little bit disappointed when the other day he was told to wait for Le Mans to come up, but those are team tactics. Thierry Cravelet, number 53, coming off the front now, previous King of the Mountains in the Tour de France. Now, if you look at these Zeds, they're all pretty well much of the same sort of size and shape, and they've been riding together for a long time. It isn't a team that changes very much, and except for Atle Kravsol, the Norwegian rider, majority of Frenchmen, headed by Greg LeMond from the United States. And it's Greg on the front, that familiar crouch style. He's the one, I mean, Greg is quite a character, and a lot of people are prepared to knock him when he's not winning, but I mean, the number of successes, 3 times Tour de France world champion as well, but he's brought to the sport a whole new area of technology and scientific understanding of bicycles and equipment. And many of the riders, I think, over the years will look back and say, yeah, Greg changed a lot. But mind you, I think he was encouraged by the way the Americans just throw the rule book out, give him half a chance. And because they're 3,000 miles away from the heart of European cycle racing, they've approached everything with a brand new eye. And of course, they've been aided and abetted by the Japanese, who were looking for big markets in America, where they sell something to the Americans, about 9 million bikes a year, by the way. So the Japanese have been perfecting gear mechanisms and so on with a vast volume of business. Greg's dropped in there looks as if, I think it was Boyer was leaving him to do an extra turn. Perhaps he's suffering a bit. And again, bikes with the seat tube bent so that the back wheel comes in. And they've chosen also to drop the seat stays down a bit further, giving a nice run for the back brake cable. Half the time when you make complicated bicycles with unusual frame designs is that cables get cranked round to try and fit in with the frame, and you get friction and your mechanisms don't work well enough. So they've got one passenger at the moment, and here he is at the back, 58 and 53. Look like they're taking a bit of a pasting at the moment, so Thierry Cravelet still sitting on the back, and Francois Le Marchand it is as well. Let's see if they're going to let it drop in as well. Yep, the two at the back. Either there's a tactics then from Leger to let these two rest and come and have another go at the front, or they both begin to suffer a little bit. They seem to be going calmly enough. Well, Castorama with Guimard, the man who was also very much involved in aerodynamics. This came out of the Super U team. They won the team time trial stage in Luxembourg when Da Silva had taken the yellow jersey. And way back at System U, they won in '86. And woo, sweeping around there. They're a very, very strong team indeed. But Castorama won 14.06. They're not going to win this one. They've won quite a bit in the past, but not now. Well, that is a fighting effort. It shows the quality of Motorola and Onse, because Castorama and Cyril Guimard would look upon themselves as being a serious threat for the top honours, but they're not going to get it this time, as Leblanc stirs them on, and they cross the line then in 1:14.41. And as we pick up the Panasonic team, I've now got confirmation of the time check we had over the loudspeaker from Roger Leger. In fact, the Carrera team at the 19-kilometre point were 27 seconds up on Zed. And here's a good ride by Gatteret. This could well take him into the lead. I'll come back to that in just a moment. Let's wait for this one. Certainly Fignon and the world champion Bugno are likely to move into the lead. That's a good clear 1 minute up, and they're going to come down this finishing straight and move into first spot. So we've now got, I think, here we go, a great ride then by the Gatteret team. They set their sights on Bugno winning the Tour this year, and this will help them considerably, because they're going to have, remember, the times of this will go into the each rider's position on general classification, the gaps they've got. Let's see what they've got here, and they are going to be the fastest team at the moment, but only just give you some idea what a fine ride Onse put up, because Gatteret crossed the line in 1:13.36 to take the lead, but very close, wasn't that? Some 26 seconds separating them from the Onse team. So that's put a number one up on the rostrum or on the board for the Gatteret team. I'll go back now quickly before we look at the Panasonic team. That information at 19 kilometres. Carrera 22.26 we've got as being the fastest time through there. In fact, the Z team were 27 seconds down, Banesto were 30 seconds down, RMO 38, and Castorama 39 seconds down. No note there on the information we've got as to where Gatteret were at the 19 kilometre point, but it just shows the information being pushed out to Zeds. They were 27 down. That's the confirmation of what we heard from Roger Leger to his team. Well, this Panasonic team, they really are following in the wheel marks of a phenomenal team that Peter Post had, because way back in the 70s, and I said earlier, they dominated the team time trials, TI Rally winning in 76. There was no result in 77. The team time trial annulled, and then through 78, 79, 18, 81, 4 consecutive years, the TI Rally team riding in somewhat similar colours to the Panasonic team now. They used to have the red at the top and the red below rather than the blue. They were somewhat similar to these colours. They just, 4 years on the trot, they were the dominant team, and that gave me in fact 5 victories in the team time trial, which is a fairly new innovation in the Tour de France. As I said, normally comes in on day 2 on a split stage, but here we are then covering the long distance as far as they're concerned today of 63.5 kilometres. That's somewhere around about 38 miles they're doing. So imagine that time of 1:13 for Gatorade. Gives you an idea of how fast they're going over what is a thick end of 40 miles of racing, and they're doing it in an hour and a quarter. So the team here from Panasonic, well drilled. I said earlier on that the riders don't get much chance to train for this. Poss used to always train his riders for the team time trial, and would absolutely give them some sticks, so he got them changing on time. They were just moving absolutely like one machine, and it was a picture to watch them in action. And still again, Panasonic have picked up and gone on with that reputation that the TI Rally team did, because in '88 they won the team time trial and got Van Vliet to take over the yellow jersey. That was the year that Steve Bauer, the Canadian, had won the first stage and put on the yellow jersey, and breaking riding for the Panasonic had taken the yellow jersey from the prologue team. They won again in 1990, the Panasonic team, in the time trial. That was the year when Banesto had all sorts of problems, when Delgado kept getting dropped. We'll come back to that when we see the Banesto team out on the road there. Close-up view of the riders here, top shot from our camera, and we can just see there number 104, and that's Olaf Ludwig, the green jersey points winner in the Tour de France a couple of years ago. Now let's look at that one. So Panasonic were in second spot at 41k, so that's behind Carrera, and then Gatorade at 30. So in fact, Gatorade, who've done the best time so far on the finish line, it looks as if Panasonic could be well on the way towards giving Gatorade a bit of a lesson here. So the TVM team coming in towards the finish. Some preferring headbands, some preferring proper crash hats, and so TVM, after yesterday's success by Rob Harvling in his team, Gert-Jan Tunisi, Johan Capio, very good sprinter Roman, Rob Harvling at number 93, Dmitry Konishev, first Russian to win a stage in the Tour de France, Peter Meinert, Robert Miller is in this team, the diminutive Robert with his hair flapping in the breeze, Jan Simons, Jesper Skibby from Denmark, and Ard Winyans from Holland. So right mixture here they've got, a couple of Australians, and, one Englishman in the team, a Danish rider, two Danish and one Englishman, Belgian, and from Russia, and the rest then from Holland. Just shows how international cycle racing is coming. TVM 1:14.21. So that's their time. Useful, but not taking over the lead. And here the Panasonic team will know that Gatorade's time 1:13.36, the cliffhanger. They were ahead of them at the time check out on the road, so with just now some 10 kilometres to go. They don't seem, actually, there's a remarkable point. Look how easy it seems to be rolling these gears along, but they are travelling, as I say, very, very quickly indeed. Just under 40 miles being covered in 1:14, so they'll be going along here to steady 34 miles an hour, I suppose, that sort of order, 32, 34, and quite a number of them pedalling quickly at the back, so it does show that the pace is up. There's no chance to just soft tap this one, so they're pretty quick, because there Yakimov has just come off the front, and he can turn a nifty pedal. In fact, they're all having a go. We've seen, like with the Zeds, they're beginning to carry a couple of riders who are suffering somewhat. And so the whole of this team, sorry, it's Zadanov, by mistake, not Yakimov. They're riding somewhat similar crash hats, and from the distance, picking up the crash hat rather than the bike rider. This will make you go mad, wouldn't it, watching that go whizzing round and round? Shut your eyes from it, I'll tell you when it's gone. It's gone now. At least the riders can't see it. They're looking down, and they will see something flashing, because these disc wheels are slightly dished. They're almost flat, but they are slightly dished, and obviously they've chosen to ride the back wheels of the discs on today, which many say are that better as regards the wind resistance, but when you get a crosswind, they can get the wind, and riders now stop using discs on the front. That was something they used to do from time to time, but gusts of wind used to blow the front wheel and take them offline. And here they're using the smaller size front wheel as well, 650s rather than the 700Cs, to get quite close, and of course again to minimise the wind resistance. But the rims on those front wheels are it's around about 3 inches, the depth of the rim, again to allow the air to come round the tyres and round the wheel with a minimum amount of disturbance. It's a lovely roaring sound, isn't it, as they're rocketing along there. So, having had a close-up look at Joachim Knopf, we're now having a long-shot look at the Banesto team, who in 1989, as I said, Delgado, who in the prologue was 2 minutes late for the prologue, and then, in fact, in the time trial stage, he was dropped by his team. They had to wait for him to come in, and in fact, he ended up by Delgado being second from last overall on general classification. But in the end, he finished in third spot in that tour that year, 3 minutes 34 seconds down. So just give you some idea what he lost in the time trial and what he lost in the prologue. He fought it back in the mountains, so there's still a lot of time for teams who've got good mountain climbers to get themselves back in the action. Banesto began to split a little bit here as they come up towards the line. Indurain, Alonso, Monge, Jean-François Bernard, De La Cuevas, Pedro Delgado, Heitor Gamandier, Jorospe, Filippo and Ierati Subero coming in, and the time 1:14.05 for Banesto. That does in fact give a measure of the performance when Banesto finishing 1:14.05, of how well Once went in 1:14.01, just 0.04 of a second faster for the Once team, who wouldn't normally be looked upon with the squad they've got this time as being a serious threat for the top honours. But it just shows you how well drilled the Once team are as well in team time trialling, something that they've been specialising in for the Tour of Spain. So with the 10 kilometres to go, the Carrera team have been setting some very, very hot time checks so far. The time that they had at the first check was the fastest of anybody, and under the sort of driving force of Claudio Chiappucci. There's Carrera Jean's team. We're just sitting at the back there, Alessandro Gianelli, and just in front of him is Mario Chiesa, and then up there number 28 is Stephen Roche. Whoops, Stephen easing himself. Oh, Stephen, hope you have any back trouble. He went off after the Tour of Switzerland when he came out of there with about a couple of stages to go to Munich to see his special physician to have treatment. He's been having a lot of back trouble, and his knees seem to have recovered after the operations he's had. It was that crash in the 6-day race when he was riding with Tony Doyle. Tony Doyle's had more than his fair share of crashes. I was speaking to Tony down at Salisbury at the City Centre Cycle Race season. He's back in training again and looking forward to the 6-day season coming up. And there, yes, Roche is easing himself. Let's hope he isn't having trouble with his back. He's sitting in behind Claudio Chiappucci. I suppose everybody in Ireland at the moment is just crossing themselves and hoping to goodness that the Dubliner isn't having any trouble with his back. It'd be a great shame if he was sidelined out of the race again, but that's tempting fate. It looks as if these two back numbers are being carried as passengers, and just dropping in there ahead of them was Massimo Garotto, who rode so strongly in that 10-man breakaway group yesterday. I know when I was tipping the finish, I left Rob Harmony out, didn't I? So it was an egg-on-face job yesterday. I said there might be a competition to see my biggest mistake. The biggest mistake when I was running down all those 10 breakaways was to discount Harmony, because he's normally known for long, lone breaks, but he just showed his strength and showed me up by popping in at the finish and winning the stage. So I owe him an apology for next time I see him, and congratulations as well. Zed coming in then, they were that 27 seconds down on Carrera. They hit 1:13, the Gatorade time 1:13.36. It's more than half a minute, I think, from that particular point on our long shot camera, but they're going to put themselves reasonably well in contention, and the Carrera team working hard out there with two passengers might in fact be slowing then Way they come, and it's going to be a close run thing. I said they were probably just going to be outside the time, but it's going to be very, very much touch and go. Douglas starts to wind up on the front. Le Mans looks back to see where his team is, and they're sprinting for the line. It's just about 3 seconds to 0.3 to go, and here they are. They can see it down the road there. They know what the time is to beat, but they're just fading outside it. They should get inside 1:14. But nevertheless, the Gatorade time 1:13.36 still stands as the best, as the Z team then crossed the line with a time of 1:13.55, putting them into second spot in the team time trial in this 1992 Tour de France. The Panasonic team really beginning to accelerate, this being a much longer time trial than we normally have in the Tour de France. It will certainly suit these strong men of the Panasonic team. And looking back at the interim time checks, they've been getting better as they've been progressing forward. Just after the first check, a slender gap of 9 seconds on Carrera, and there we are, consistently looking down. Just I looked, he moved his camera up there, but they were looking to me like they were going somewhere around about 50 kilometres an hour, steady 30 miles an hour, which is what you'd expect from a team like this one. And just 2 kilometres to go, so not long now. They'll do this last couple of kilometres in round about a couple of minutes as well. And I think most of them are still contributing to this. Just sitting off the back there. It looks as if they have all had a go. I'll wait to see if they come back down now, see if any change at the moment. I think probably the strong men, as Guy Newlands at the back here, are going to really wind this one up towards the finish. They've got to try and keep it together and compact and tight. Guy Newlands is... Whoops, yeah, he's had enough now. Newlands is easing a bit back, and they begin to break up the speed at the front. I should think it feel like Ekimov and Zadanov are on there now. And the two Russians, very, very strong, punchy riders indeed, as Erik van Lancker was away in that break yesterday, has left a bit of a gap open with 1 kilometre to go. Van Lancker yesterday in that breakaway group, he's left a bit of a gap. He must have very tired legs, but he's closed it down again, and here they come. The last 4 men are beginning to struggle. It's the other 6 up in front them for Panasonic, pushing the pressure on Mario Fondres, Eddie Bowmans, Vasilav Yekimov, Olaf Ludwig, Willifred Nelsons, Guy Newlands, Marc Sejean, Erik van Lancker and Dmitry Zadanov, the team from Panasonic, and it looks a very quick one indeed. They've come up the back part of the course very fast, and we could well have new leaders on the leaderboard as swinging round the finish is there. 1:12.40 so far. They've got just inside 1 minute to take this team time trial, and I think they're going to get it. It's going to be close though. They're just coming up to the 13-minute point, 1:13, and by probably about, there we are. Oof, they're shattered, aren't they? Absolutely exhausted. But they're freewheeling, and they've only just cracked it. Look at that, 1:13.15. They are first, but that was very close indeed for the Panasonic team. Wow, they broke up considerably towards the end, and that puts Panasonic in first place. Well, Carrera have been setting some of the fastest times at the time checks we've had so far, and the urgency from the horns hooting behind. And you can hear the shouts then to go quicker, because Panasonic 1:13.15 are the leaders at the moment, 21 seconds ahead of Gatorade Z back in third spot. Onse, the early leaders, have now been pushed back to fourth. This team could climb up there into the top 3 if just they can hold this lot together. Well, you probably heard the shouting going on. And the noise from the horn, absolutely deafening everybody on the side of the road. And of course it makes sure that everybody knows this team is coming along and that they can't break the rhythm at all with people in front of them. They can concentrate on staying on the wheel. Good looking group, this one. Abdul Jafarov at the back. We haven't seen much of him in the Tour de France so far. Oops, drifting off now. I think he's had enough. He's blown. So Mauro Chiesa has come off the pack at the moment, and that'll be okay because they time, I think it's on the, I'll have to check my regulations, I think it's on the 5th man they time the team across the line, so you can shed 2 or 3 riders, but of course he's got to stay within a certain time limit of his team. And here with the RMO team, the last team to go out on the 63.5 kilometres. Struggling a little bit here, Charlie. Motte is driving his team along as fast as he can do. He drove the break, was the chasing group a couple of days ago. And Carrera looking good at the moment. He's calling for more all-out effort from the Carrera team. Abdul Jafarov moving his way through now. Just behind him then was Fabio Roscioli. Hello, what we got here? 1 kilometre to go. Well, the shouts then, go faster for the finish, Volanta Arrivo, go faster, and it will take them about 1 minute, I think, to get through this 1:13. I don't think they're going to topple Panasonic, having been early leaders now. They may well, they've come onto that 1 kilometre. Stephen Roche on the front, driving this one along as hard as he can do. Kiyopouchi towards the back of this group at the moment. Abdul Jafarov is on the wheel of Stephen Roche. And they swing round in toward the finish. A beautiful shot of our camera here. Carrera going flat out to try and topple Panasonic from the top spot in this team time trial on the Tour de France. Here they are on stage 4 of the race, and it's going to be quite a cliffhanger. I think they might well do it yet, and they urged on then as Abdul Jafarov starts to wind up as well. There's Bontempi, and Roche has dropped in the back, and they really are trying hard. This is a tremendous ride then. 1:13.15, looks like they're just going to get it. What's it on 8? They've got to go a bit quicker than this one. Panasonic is just going to take it by the looks of it. Oh, that is so close. And that's whisker, they say. They go then up toward the line and they cross it in 1:13.22, and that just puts them into second spot. What a tremendous close ride that was for Carrera, and I bet when they look at the times later on, they just will not believe it. Out on the road then, the RMO Mavic team, the last team to set off on the course. We've seen Carrera finish there, 5 kilometres separating them from the finish. Carrera finished, Panasonic have finished, and the teams all finishing. We look at the fastest so far that we've had in the team time trial. The Panasonic team first at the moment, 1:13.15. And looking back down the rest of the rides, then the slowest I've got on my list here, 1:16.59 from Helvetia. So you can in fact be looking to lose somewhere around about 3 minutes or so on a team time trial, but I don't think RMO are going to lose anything like the time that will take the yellow jersey off the shoulder of Pasqualino, because he got 6 minutes 28 seconds advantage over Indurain this morning. The Banesto team finishing in 1:14.05. So that really would be the target for the RMO team, to finish in or around the Banesto team, so that gap between Indurain and Pasqualino and Veronk is not cut back at all in the team time trial section. So they've ridden very hard there. Veronk in the green, just drifting off the back there. In the middle is the yellow jersey. They must be extremely pleased, I'd have thought, RMO, with the performance of all these riders, because they had up to 3 men away in one break at one time, sorry, 2 men away in one break at one time, and now here they are with those 2 jerseys to show for their troubles. But they are young riders in the RMO team, and that may tell as we go on during this race, because we've got the big tough climbs yet to come when we get down in towards the stage 12 stage, when we got towards Saint-Gervais, Mont Blanc, and then the other ones, Saint-Gervais, Mont Blanc to Sestriere, and Sestria Alpe d'Huez. Those are on the 12th, 13th, 14th stages, and then dropping off the mountains from Bourg-d'Oisans to Saint-Etienne and back into the flat. So they've got to defend that yellow jersey right the way up until we get on those final tough stage over the Alps, starting on the 12th stage. Here we are on the 4th stage, so maybe for 8 more days they can protect that yellow jersey. Charlie looking back, Motte to drive this group on to just a bit more effort. They can't afford to lose vital seconds, because the longer they can keep this pressure up, the bigger the gap between the 2 jersey holders, Lino and Veronk. And there we are past the vineyards again, so the riders will be happy, I think, to get in the aeroplane and have a bit of a rest later on. They turn their back on the Dordogne, famous for its pâté de foie gras and the truffles and delicatessens and fine restaurants. That, of course, is for the followers of the race, not for the riders here, who seem to live a monastic life, going from one hotel bedroom to another, one hotel restaurant to another, and one day's racing to another. There we are, the yellow jersey, and he has chosen, in fact, to have one of those little supports on his saddle. And a good look then, a close-up look. Well done for his performance, Pascal Lino. Young pursuit, a young rider in the young classification, leading on that one as well. Charging along, aren't they? Are they all together still? I think just about it. Charlie Motte, who is an extremely good team captain, and the man who, I mean, last year finished 4th in the Tour de France. We thought perhaps he might go on the... Look at his head rocking. A big puff and a blow, but they are pretty well all together. Frank dropping back off the front. So this is the only team left out on the road in this time trial stage of the Tour de France, where the leading team at the moment, Panasonic, won 13.15. The team from Korea won 13.22 in second spot according to my notes, and then in third spot Gatorade won 13.36. So that goes to give you an idea how close it is up in front. They've got 1 kilometre to go. That's just over, just about a minute as far as the RMO team is concerned. Here they come then, led by Charlie Motte, also in that team Eric Caletou, Thierry Lalonde, Pascal Lino, Christophe Manin, Ronan Pensek, Dan Teretse and Richard Veronk. They're all French, by the way, so the crowd here getting very excited. So many of the teams are a League of Nations, drafting in riders of different nationality, but here the French, they've got the yellow jersey on the front and they're letting him go through in towards the finish. They're not going to win this one, but they've restricted their loss on the riders from Panasonic, and the big one, Banesto, did 1:14.05. They'll be a bit outside that one, but they're not going to lose too much, I think, to be concerned with this one. They're going to let the yellow jersey come in with this pack as well. Charlie Motte leading them in, just searching for that little bit extra pressure to save those final seconds. Looks back there to see where the yellow jersey's got to, and the green jersey as well. The crowd here cheering them in to the finish of this time trial stage. Limbourne, a circuit time trial it is. And it's only the second time we've been here. Jacques Anquetil being here some time ago when they had a time trial stage in here in 1957 when Jacques won it. And there, 1:15 puts them down into 13 spots, so they did suffer a bit towards the end. That means they've lost a minute on Banesto, so the gap between Indurain and the yellow jersey has now been chipped back by about 1 minute, so about 5:28, I suppose, when we come to look at the final general classification. The great cavalcade of vehicles, as ever, following the final team on the road, and a lot of people are down at the start. They leap into their cars and follow the last team along, and it creates a sort of an enormous, slightly mobile traffic jam. And here they are coming to a bit of a halt. The camera leaping out because the insatiable world press and television news wants all the latest updates on the Tour de France. This television program going out in Australia, it's going out in South Africa, Canada, it's going to be seen over in America as well, apart from all across Europe through television. Most of the terrestrial stations in each nation are taking it, but here on Eurosport we can beam it out right the way across Europe. Something like about 22 million dishes was the last count I heard, so lots of people can watch the tour all over Europe, even where their own terrestrial stations aren't giving it much cover. So that's the site, but they have to now uplift all this lot and close it down. Confirmation then of the positions at the end of that one. the Panasonic team in first spot. Carrera was second, Gatorade into third, Zed ahead of Onsay. Nice ride by Onsay, and Motorola just getting in the frame in the top six, just 48 seconds back. And the RMO team, having lost about a minute on Banesto, didn't get into the top half dozen. So Panasonic, yet again, victors of the team time trial in the Tour de France. So they've had at least some success in this year's event so far, and will be happy with that result. The victorious Panasonic team up on the victory rostrum. They've been up there so many times in the past, and here they are receiving the plaudits of the crowd. They've got the Coca-Cola girls up there too with the spotted jerseys on. Of course, there are no mountains today for the King of the Mountains competition. That jersey will comfortably stay on the back of the best climber in the field so far, which is Richard Ferrand from RMO. But nevertheless, a stage victory yet again for Panasonic. And I say Peter Post now, he did what, 4 with the TI Rally team, 5 with the TI Rally team, and he's had 2 with Panasonic, now 3 with Panasonic. That makes him, in fact, 8 team time trial successes since 1976. Look at this lot coming down now, and that shows that the power and the strength of this Panasonic team, who have not so far in the Tour done very well in the overall classification. I think we're going to have to wait till we see them on the fatter parts of the territory further up. Their best placed man, last time I looked, was Fondriest, and he missed a few of the early breaks, so he wasn't too happy. Eddie Bowman's in 29th place overall on general classification for them. And I think, in fact, he's probably their best placed man at the moment. That will have helped them all a bit. Fondriest back in 52nd place. So we're now looking at the yellow jersey, yet again going on to the shoulders of Pascal Lino, who, with the strong support of his team today, will have lost a minute on the Banesto rider, Miguel Indurain, but nevertheless, he's still got that yellow jersey on in Limoges. Well, there'll be some celebrating in the old town tonight. It is quite an ancient part of the world here, and the French then, with Jacques Anquetil winning that time trial stage back in 57, and had another victory here today in the form of, well, it's another celebration in the form of a yellow jersey for Lino, but the Dutch-based Panasonic squad being the outright winners. So that's confirmation then of the position. In fact, Bugno has moved up there, and Chiappucci and Roche and Indurain has dropped back into the 6th spot. So the good ride by the team from Gatorade and Carrera has completely chopped and changed that top spot in the general classification. So good ride then. Roche this morning was started out at 7 minutes 6 seconds down on Lino, but in fact, looking on the position with Indurain 6:28. So in fact, there was only something in the order of about 38 seconds between Stephen Roche and Miguel Indurain. So Indurain is suffering as Banesto team not going well. That's Paul Roche up there on the general classification, and Chiappucci, who was just 30 seconds down on Indurain, because the Banesto team, let's see, what do they do? 1:14 as the green jersey up there. Richard Virenque, as the leader on the points classification, receives the crowd's applause. I was just looking down to see that Banesto 1:14 against the Carrera's 1:13, so there was a good 40 seconds between them. So the 40-odd seconds that separated Carrera from Banesto has pushed Indurain further down the list, but hello, we're going to have, this is where they all climb up into the, there's Paul Sherman in the background. Going to have a quick chat with Stephen Roche, because he'll be happy now in his position overall on general classification. Roche then moving to 5th spot at 5:28 down, Chiappucci at 5:20, so Carrera very happy with that one, as Fondriest here talking to Dutch television, and my good friend Paul Sherwin, who is working as a commentator in this race, because he rode it 7 or 8 times himself, Paul Sherwin, and he's gone away to have a little chat with Stephen Roche. Well, we've got the spotted jersey. He's getting used to climbing up and down these steps, and let's hope that he can keep that jersey a bit longer. It's been undulating. We don't hit some really big stuff till we get out there into the Alps. So Barenk in the spotted jersey, he had 80 points this morning to Kirpuch's 54, so he's got quite a comfortable cushion as we head up towards some tougher stuff. So there we are, the beautiful River Dordogne in the background. It's quite a circuit of the rivers today, being over the Dron and over the Eel, as Pondrest, last year's World Cup champion, and of course the previous world champion here, just saying how much Panasonic, I presume, have enjoyed their success today, and heading up then towards Holland and Belgium and Luxembourg and Germany. The riders are going up to the north of Paris. We're going off air now. Do join us tomorrow for more action on Eurosport on the Tour de France. Myself, David Duffield, saying bye-bye.